hamstring now, is there? He just seems to be sprinting up that pitch, and that seemed to be a training ground strategy, that we just pick it up deep and then just break, as Pete was saying, just that speed to get forward. And I was really surprised how Harry was coping with that, because I think we all think he's a bit kind of, I don't know, fragile nowadays, and he didn't look fragile at all. He looked really on top of his game.
I mean, they interviewed him. I think after the game, and he kind of said that he feels that he's the fittest he's been for like 5 years.
He's had a rest.
He's had over the past few seasons had plenty of rest during the season. To be fair, but I think on the flip side is what normally happens. Obviously, because we only have one recognised out and out leading, like, world-class striker. As soon as he's anywhere near fit, we just put him back in the side. Whereas obviously now there wasn't that requirement, because we had to have that enforced break, and he could take that time and actually get properly, rested and properly fit.
Yeah.
And maybe like we're benefiting from that.
Definitely.
Just before we move on, I think there was I think it's a good time to answer. There was a question. It came actually last week from Justin Stevens on Twitter, and he asked, when they're not playing, who do you think we miss the most? Is it Sonny or Kane?
Oh, can I go?
Yeah, mate. Yes, knock yourself out.
No, not myself. I waxed lyrical about Harry Kane. He scored a planted header, then he scored a poacher's header, then he got put through. He scored with his left foot, clinical in the post. Then he cuts inside onto his right foot, bends it in the corner. He's doing reverse passes into Sonny. Then he set up Sonny with another one when he tested the keeper. He's doing everything. He's a proper leader.
And that's not to mention his defensive work at corners, and he's just incredible.
I think that obviously Sonny is brilliant with his pace. He's such a threat. He scores goals. He knows where the back of the net is. And Jose is making him defend. He's making him come back and actually get in the way of people. And that's another string to his bow. If he's got that in his locker and he's actually trying. Because Lloris has absolutely ripped him a new one for not tracking back and being lazy. And they're not having passengers in the side. In the 11 players that are out there, all got a job to do. Even when when we haven't got the ball, they've all come back and do a job.
Yeah,
and I think Harry Kane, Justin, Harry Kane. All day.
I mean, I would like. It's not even a question really for me. With all due respect, I think for the reasons that you've said in terms of what Kane brings to his game, and I don't feel that, like, as good as Sonny is, I don't feel that he brings as much to his game. And in terms of things like the passing ability, like to bring other people in, I think that is something that where Sonny's lacking massively. In terms of, there's been times where you think, right, okay, just play him in, just play.
He runs and loses it,
and he checks back, and loses the ball or whatever. And you think, so I obviously, guys, Pete and Andy, I'll let you have your say on this in a minute. But for me, I don't think it's a question. I think just before I hand it over, I know that there was someone was saying about that Kane. There was a thing that Kane did where he passed the ball a bit wider for someone to get on the end of, so that he could. So they ended up wide to receive the ball. So get on the end.
Yeah.
And I don't dismiss this as much as other people will. I personally think that this is something that strikers do. Top strikers do it as well, because it's how are you going to get in the box if the players are already in the box? You need some space and you need some time to be able to get there. So you're going to get in the box to score is if you put the ball far enough forward but wide enough for them to get onto the end of it, for them to cross it. So I kind of agree with that. I can't remember who made that comment on Twitter, but I kind of agree with that, but not in a critical way. I think that's just a good strike.
I think it's a smart way. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But anyway, so back to the question quickly before we tie up the Leicester game. So, Pete, Sonny or Kane?
I love Sonny as a person, as an individual, as an attacker, but I would go with what's already been said. You know, Harry's game is so much more than just attacking. You know, he's defensive. I think I saw a heat map. I can't remember. It might have been the Bournemouth game where his touches in our box defensively were far and above anywhere else where he touched the ball on the pitch. And it shows how much we rely on him for that defensive role, which he performs so superbly.
Yeah.
I mean, when he went off with that injury, and there was this question about his ankles and question about his ligaments, etc., etc. There was always this doubt: is he going to come back from this operation? You know, it's apparently, I won't say world's first, but he's one of the first major sportsmen to have had this operation.
Oh, right.
There's always doubts that he would come back. You know, I can't remember. Someone quoted Michael Owen having gone through exactly the same, not operation, but the same injury, and never really being the same player again. And as you pointed out, his fitness levels are incredible. He's played, I think, every single minute since restart.
What a pro!
And for me, I think even having had that break, you know, after the injury and during lockdown, is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal mark of his fitness, his recovery rate. And, you know, he's not really shown any real reticence. Okay, he maybe took a couple of games early on. He didn't look as sharp, clearly, in the Man United game as he has in later games.
Yeah.
Definitely Harry for me, although I love Sonny to bits. Definitely Harry.
I winced when he went in for that tackle with Johnny Evans. He just overrun it, you know, in the first half when he stretched.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, don't do that, Harry. Didn't need to say that.
He can't help it, though, can he? He can't help it.
I did wince. I was like, oh, don't do that. Watch him ankles.
So, I mean, you know, we spoke about Kane and the performance is really good. I think one of the things that that has, I know it's been mentioned a little bit on Twitter, but we probably haven't given enough focus on, is Laurie's, you know, since the restart. I think he's been outstanding. And against Leicester, there were a couple of absolutely world-class top draw saves, you know, so from him that we haven't seen, you know, we haven't really seen, for me, that kind of focus and determination from him for a couple of seasons, really. So I think he's back looking as sharp and hungry as we've seen him for quite a while, which is, I think, is a real joy to see.
6 saves on Sunday. Six shot stopping saves. Yeah, his shot stopping ability's never been questioned, is it? It's always to do with his kicking.
Do you guys think that the fact that Jose is doing this, you know, miss out the press by kicking it, not, you know, hoofing it, but he's trying to just kick over the press. Do you think that's helping Loris a bit? Because under Pochettino, he was always forced to play, you know, short passes all the time, and he never looked comfortable doing that.
No, not many keepers can do that, can they? I think when we're going to see him next year, he's brilliant at it. But,
Yeah, there was always this issue about his distribution, wasn't there? You know, when he played with Pochettino, played the ball around the back four, got it back, looked to lay it wide out to Aurier on the right or to Davis on the left and get a header on. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And I think that eats away at a goalkeeper's confidence. I saw a brilliant photograph today. There was, you know, the saves that he made, but there was that critical one when we were 1-0 up against Leicester, where he went down to his left and palmed it round the corner. I saw a photograph today where I think Vardy and another of the Leicester players
were already celebrating.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So, you know, that was a crucial save at that time. He did some brilliant saves afterwards, but 3-0 you're coasting, really, to be certain.
I think the thing where you say about where he was playing out, having to play out, you know, from the back. It's interesting that people like that we're being now accused of lumping the ball and just going long and not trying to play. Whereas, you know, when we over the past few seasons, when I've been at games and for various reasons, certainly like at Wembley and stuff like that, I've been sat in different parts of the stadium, so sat with different fans. And when we get the ball, when we used to have the ball under Pochettino and we'd play it around, pop it back, try and go out. So it'd go out to Sanchez or Toby or whatever, back into Lloris, out to Jan, back into Lloris, and then he'd clip a ball into Davis or whoever was wide right. We might keep it in. That might then go back to Toby and then back into Lloris. And I had people around me going effing and jeffing.
Yeah.
I can get it long. Fucking, you know what I mean? What's the matter with it? What's all this bollocks? Right.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Steve.
Exactly. But now that we are, now that we aren't, just passing the ball around for the sake of passing the ball around, really, but the people are moaning about that as well. I think, they moan for the sake of moaning. I don't understand what it is, what their expectation is really. I think the way we're playing at the moment is focused, and it's really good. So, so Laurie said the last thing was one thing that was missing from the game, the Leicester game. Stace, I know you mentioned it. I think you tweeted it during the game. I think probably when the last substitution happened.
Yeah, gutted.
Oh, Jan.
Jan, he's my Rolls Royce defender. He reminds me of me when I used to play.
Bloody hell! Bloody, you must have been good then.
That's how I want to play as a centre half. He's like, there's no effort in his defending, and some of the clearances he's done for us, last tackles, and that left peg as well. He's brilliant as a left back, and gutted he didn't get to play for 5-10.
Yeah. I mean, with us 3-0 up, you would have. I mean, he was on the bench, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think yes, he was. Yeah.
So with us 3-0 up, I thought it would have been nice for him to get 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of the game. Where it was comfortable. We had an opportunity to make 2 subs. I think you could have brought a couple of players on because we'd only brought on probably 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, whatever the limit is these days. So it would have been nice for him to, final home game, unless as people have said that, he didn't bring him on because it's not his last game because he actually extended his stay for another season. But
there's a tweet that's come out and Jan's liked it.
All right, okay.
It's a photo of him leaving the old White Hart Lane. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah,
no.
I saw it. Yeah,
Sky fella took it as he walked out. He was one of the last players off, and everyone else is in black and white bar Jan walking down the tunnel and commanding stance. And Jan liked that because he's mentioned this is probably the last time we're going to see Jan.
Okay, so maybe
I got a feeling that he's not signing.
Well, this is what happens, though, isn't it? It quite often is the case.
I mean, it'd be the right time, really. I think he's been a tremendous servant for the club. I feel gutted. He's someone that I feel gutted for that hasn't, managed to achieve or win anything with us.
Yeah.
He's someone that you would have even a tin pot trophy like the FA Cup or a tin pot trophy like the League Cup, anything that would, just because, like he'll sit back now and he'll reflect on. It's been a great time with Spurs, and and they go, well, what is it you remember about your time with Spurs? And he'll go, oh yeah, I played Barcelona. I mean, it's like we got to the top 4 and I played against Barcelona. I mean, and I scored he did score a cracking goal again. Was it Dortmund he scored?
Yeah, that was a great goal.
Right,
yeah.
So they're great memories, but you really want something to to back that time up, and that's why I always maintain that looking for trophies, whether it be domestic trophies or not, rather than just saying, right, well, top 4 is an achievement, because that's what them down the road did. They were top 4 as an achievement for years until all their players started walking off and leaving. We've got to back it up. You know what I mean? So I think, I'm gutted for him that he won't have actually capped that time with us off with a trophy or 2.
Yeah.
He played in a good side. He played in a good side. When we had Moussa Dembele in front of the back four, we looked kind of impregnable when he was playing. Ghost him